And by the way, I'm not trying to scare people here. I'm trying to get you to realize what's already happening, what's already going on. A total conversion to poverty and austerity. A total conversion to tyranny, while the elites are exempt from every stinking piece of it. We've studied East Germany and the Stasi. We've studied the Soviets. We've studied the Gestapo. We've studied other totalitarian systems. Nothing has been this ambitious. This has got to be, let's not exaggerate. Let's not exaggerate. 100 times worse than anything we've ever seen. The level of spying, the level of control, the level of actual minions and informants and agents there to lie, there to set up, there to destroy the virtuous, attack the honorable, pull down the good, as O'Brien does in 1984. A society that's more ugly, more degenerate, trampling and being trampled upon, Winston. A boot stomping on a human face forever. And I think about Rob Schneider tells Chris Stigall at CBS News, we are sliding very fast towards fascism. Schneider struck an ominous tone. He said, democracies don't end well. We are sliding towards fascism. It's an ugly kind of thing, the kind of mob mentality that we have to be careful of, he said. Well, you know where that came from? Plato and the Republic, written 2,400 years ago. It's so funny, this article's out today. Well, I'm covering Schneider being canned from an insurance company spokesman today because he said this earlier in the year. But look at what the main graphic is on Infowars.com, put up there by Kurt Nimmo. He does a daily graphic. Tyranny naturally arises out of democracy, Plato. We've got a bunch of Nazi flags marching because it was democracy that brought them to power. Rob Schneider said 2 + 2 = 4. He said what is reasoned, intellectual, and intelligent. But let me tell you what's intelligent now. What's intellectual? Supporting total fascism, calling yourself liberal, wearing socks that don't match and having a beard, and walking around in an effeminate way with your hands out at your side, going, break up families, guns are bad, men are bad, I love black uniforms, I love the choppers, I love the checkpoints, I love the torture, I love Obama, I love it, I love it. I mean, that you people are sick. You're not Nazis in black uniforms that'll actually do the killing yourselves, even though they were evil. You just sit back and live in some fantasy delusional world. Get rid of Rob Schneider. Get him fired. He, in amongst the campaigns to get him to lose his sponsorship, was the fact that he said America's becoming fascist. They convict themselves by their very words, even if you disagreed with what Schneider was saying. You shouldn't boycott him unless he's calling for taking someone's liberty. When Rosie O'Donnell called for banning the Second Amendment, I called and launched the boycott that others picked up on of Kmart, and she lost her sponsorship and shut her mouth about taking my rights. I was not trying to stop her free speech. I was showing her there'd be hell to pay. Then Rosie O'Donnell became a listener, and when she spoke out for 9/11, need to be investigated, I respected that. And when they tried to boycott her, I fought against the boycott. So you have to gauge these. It's not that a boycott's good or always bad. It's that if someone's trying to take your private property, take your children, take your guns, take your right to religion or not to be religious, if someone's trying to shut people down for their speech or their rights, then you boycott them. I have both boycotted Rosie and I have both supported Rosie. When she wanted to take my guns and your guns, I viciously went up against her and defeated her with your help. One of the first big successful things we did back in like 1999, 2000. And then when they were trying to boycott her for saying, hey, I live in New York, and I heard them say they blew up Building 7 and it needs to be investigated. And the reason I know Rosie O'Donnell's a listener is I'll just leave it at that. She is a listener. She did watch my films on 9/11, and was still angry at me that I had boycotted her on the gun issue, but said she had respect for me on the September 11th issue so we could agree to disagree. But I don't mean to go back and tell a story I've never told before. It's just that that's how I try to gauge things. It doesn't mean I always have the answers. But Rob Schneider has come out and said we're turning into fascism, that democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner, and that there's clearly something happening with these vaccines. We need to investigate them. And so there was an organized campaign to run him off the air to try to intimidate everybody else so the big corporations and government can do whatever they want, whenever they want. The answer is, just like I said with the NFL, and their ratings have been consistently down because the whole Second Amendment community is sick of it. When they got rid of Hank Williams Jr., who was very popular because of his free speech, the answer is boycott the NFL. When they promote gun control, victim disarmament, boycott them. When they promote Obamacare, boycott them. And people are boycotting them. You try to take our rights, we boycott you, we cost you money. And they've got their dirty trick campaigns behind the scenes against me, but that's to shut me down so I can't promote liberty. You see the difference? Rob Schneider dropped from State Farm ads. Guess why? State Farm Insurance will no longer run the television advertisement starring Rob Schneider because of the actor's anti-vaccination views. The move comes after a social media campaign called for Schneider to be dropped as a spokesman. Phil Supple, the insurance company's director of public affairs, told PR Week that Schneider's ad has unintentionally been used as a platform discussion unrelated to products and services we provide, he said. With that, we are working to remove the ad from the rotation at this time. Well, it's our right to drop State Farm. And if you got State Farm, folks, it's time to go get a local insurance company. Probably get a better deal anyways. Drop them. Nothing against State Farm. But we got to defend Schneider because his speech is so American. His speech is so on target. It's the great example of someone trying to help people. Tyranny naturally arises out of democracy. If you have a pure democracy, 51% can vote to enslave the other 49. Or an elite can propagandize 51%, especially when they're on welfare. And in some counties, upwards of 80% of Americans. In fact, I have a National Geographic issue came out a few months ago about food deserts. And I was looking at county-by-county graphs in the U.S. on a big fold-out map just last night. I was thinking about, wow, I live in a country where in some areas, 80% of the people are on food stamps. And the national average is 1/3. Because there's like 50 million on one type and another 50-something million on another. It's over 100 million. Yeah, there it is. Food, National Geographic. Why people are malnourished in the richest country on earth. And if you flip through it, it'll show the graphic. There it is. Wow, amazing. Good job, guys. They found it like in 5 seconds without me telling them to. And if you look at the graph down below it, it shows the areas that are in red or in brown, dark brown, that's upwards of 80% on food stamps. And you notice it's the border areas, the South, New York, L.A., places like that. Scroll down and it'll actually show the, what's that called? The area that tells you what the statistics are. The fact box, I don't know. Scroll down some more. They may not have it in the online issue. A little bit different. But how do you conquer America? You get half the population on welfare, and it's game over. And even if Mitt Romney had his own problems, he got in trouble when he made the truthful statement of 2 + 2 = 4, when he said 47+% who were on welfare at that time. It's now over half in just a few years. Now 51% last time I saw. Now that they've done that, now that they've been able to bring that into fruition and get over 50%, it's pretty much game over unless we, the producers, have an Atlas shrug and stop complying. It's now reaching that point where we don't have anything else to do because our money, our energy, our labor will be used to enslave us. And whether it's Goldman Sachs or whether it's Wells Fargo tax exempt or Google or General Electric or the $100 million